Good evening, everybody. Again, nice to see you. It feels like I've just left you all, and you've all followed me. It's a little bit creepy actually doing that online, I suppose, isn't it? Welcome everybody who has jumped over from Just Joe's channel. Had a good chat, a little bit of a debate over there. But you're now over here with the OKB, so it's a little less professional. We'll probably say a few swears. We'll probably run a bit of an intro, and we'll get into a little bit more around Millwall the other day.
Hi, this is Don Matteo, and you are listening to the Ought to Know Better.
Yesterday, it was yesterday, not the other day.
Hi, this is Don Matteo, and you are listening to the Ought to Know Better podcast. Let's do this.
You look like fucking Brolin, you're a Leeds hating bastard. Look like some sort of fucking weird floating head. No. You utensil player a bit, innit?
I mean, I feel a bit right, dickhead.
Nothing spectacular, really.
Good evening, everybody. Yeah, those of you who have just been watching Joe and jumped over from there will know why we're saying Gilly does not know ball, and that's because we ended the show by telling everybody, Gilly, that you didn't rate Pascal. You don't. Oh, you were watching. Oh, even better. You don't rate Pascal, and you pretty much hated Jorginho Rutter from the start. But first things first, gents. How are we? Big Lu, thanks for joining us all the way from, well, not from LS11 because you don't live there, but from LS11 podcast. How are we doing, bud?
I'm all right. I'm really good, mate. Are you?
Yeah. Hungover? Did you have a few sherbets yesterday, or did you?
Yep, I had loads.
Yep.
Great.
I bet that drive back was brutal, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was rubbish. I had to listen to Scum win on the radio.
Yeah. Gilly, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. I've got my voice back.
Well?
Oh, mate. I've been looking forward to having a drink all day. I was battered.
Yeah. And you were to be fair, you were battered the night before, so you drunk yesterday to get over Saturday's hangover.
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking it steady tonight. I'm not going to get battered again. Just try to keep in front of it. A couple steady away tonight. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun yesterday. I had a lot of fun.
Where were you sat yesterday? Because I know, Lou, were you at East Upper?
Yeah, unfortunately, I was. Yeah.
So it's a great viewpoint. You can actually see a lot of the game, can't you, from there? It's great, but the atmosphere dies the further up you go. But
I was saying to Gilly just before I came on that I didn't realise till I got home how much of a belter Nonto's goal was, because it was sort of on the other side, but it was quality strike.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
I went Cop.
And you were, sorry, Gilly?
In Cop.
Nice.
Not in a safe standing bit, in the unsafe standing bit, because we were still stood up, obviously. So, we were joined by Scotch Gaz. He was actually with us in the Cop yesterday. So we had a good bit of fun there. You were all right?
Yeah, wicked. So yeah, I didn't have a drink yesterday. I had to drive all the way back home. So I was just saying on Joe's when he asked me for a bit of my overview, what I thought of the game. It's probably going to be slightly different to you two because I'll probably remember a bit of it. So I mean, I'll come to you first, Lou, I suppose, because I mean, it's a good, as I said before, it's a good vantage point up there in the East Stand. You do actually get to see a lot of the game, and you can see, almost all of it. It's almost like for anybody who plays FIFA, it's like the telecast camera, I think it is. That's pretty far up, and you can literally see every player on the field and make mad runs and that. But yeah, I mean, how did the game look? For me, it didn't feel like we were ever under much threat, really. How did it feel for you?
Not until the second half. I mean, they had a couple of players. I think Duncan Watmore, number 19, who was getting a nice greeting from the South Stand, as that lovely picture everyone would have seen yesterday. He was quite dangerous in the second half, I thought. But Leeds were in control. I think it was a little bit nervy, I guess. But I think we all had it in our minds that we wanted that 2-goal advantage to sort of go top, because that's the psychologically, it being top of the league is making Leicester think, and we were in full control. Lots of enough good performances across the pitch, particularly centrally. I think Kamara and Gruev yesterday were brilliant. Gruev's just everywhere. Like, he must be a nightmare to play against. He's not even particularly quick, is he? But he is just everywhere. And Ampadu and Rodon yesterday were absolutely brilliant, and we were clinical when we needed to be. I think when we scored that goal to go 1-0 was a pretty important time. I think 0-0 at half time, it might have been a bit of a different game, especially because the 4 subs that they changed all at once sort of gave them a bit of momentum, at least for 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, I mean, I did. Where I sit right behind the goal in the south, and you literally for pretty much the second half, you can't see anything because the crux. But I'm just guessing most of it. Like, to be honest, I have to watch the second half when I get home, or the first half, depending which way we kick off. Tends to usually be the second half. But it's so difficult to actually understand sort of how people. Is that my dog? Can you hear my dog in the background?
Yeah.
I just 2 minutes. I'm just gonna go. Tell him to stop. No, I'm not really. It's all right. No, he's not going to stop, is he? But yeah, no, it very much felt like we were in complete control. I don't remember 20 minutes. I mean, towards the end, they had a foot on the game, but I think the game was obviously already won there. Gilly, did you feel at any stage that we were under any pressure? I mean, Melia made a great save, but luckily they're offside anyway.
Yeah.
But that, did they? I mean, there was a couple, I suppose.
Let
me just shut this dog out.
All right, no worries. Just while you do that, I'll just pop up what we usually go with, just in terms of attack momentum. I think just if you look at the point at which we scored, actually was immediately after a bit of play that they'd had the ball in and they'd had a little bit of momentum themselves. For me, I think we scored at good times. I think getting the goal when we did in the first half was important. Killing the game off when it went 2-0, it was done. I didn't really feel. I think it was only because it feels a bit Leedsy to draw or lose a game like that. It wasn't a reflection of the actual game itself. It's just they were Millwall. It was that the Rats back there. They'd been on a decent run. They were only scoring from set plays. We've only conceded goals from set plays since the turn of the year. You're thinking, are the stars aligning for a shithouse outcome here? But the actual game itself didn't reflect that. We battered them. 2-0 flatters them rather than flattering us. And I think I never really felt anything other than I've been poisoned by Leeds in the past. It wasn't a reflection of the actual game in front of us.
I think the fact we're playing a Neil Harris side, you and I both did a short before the game. When I watched yours back, they were very similar. We expected, they expected them to lump kickers about a bit, which they did. We expected long balls, panicking, and hoping to capitalise off a mistake by us, I think. Now that didn't happen, and I think for me, Lou, the reason that didn't happen is because we're so professional and we do things. And somebody just put in Joe's chat with German efficiency, we're quite happy to have the ball at Ampadou's feet for 20 seconds until there's some movement, or Rodon's feet. We're quite comfortable with that. Even feeling comfortable with the ball at Melier's feet, would you believe? Because we just tend to be doing all the right things and playing all the right passes. Every now and then there's obviously a stray pass or a miscontrol or something that puts us under the cosh. But I just genuinely felt yesterday was probably the most relaxed I felt about being up against Millwall at home. They'd hit a rich vein of form recently since Harris has been back there. He's a well-known shithouse. We tend to struggle historically with Neil Harris and his sides, and it just, like you say, it had all the hallmarks and the potential to be a big banana skin. I don't know what a banana is, but yeah, big banana skin, and but it just never felt like it was going to be once the game started, Lou.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was a real fine margin. I think, the whole Leeds don't win games when they need to. I think that it was sort of at the back of my mind before Leicester, probably with 10 minutes to go. We won that game 3-1, and I think that's when I sort of felt like this team are different in terms of getting results when we need to and just getting the job done. Like it's. I don't think it's easy. I think they're making it look easy. It's just a very, very professional team. I was thinking yesterday how we'd have won the league already if we were good at set pieces. So if we had a free kick taker and we were dangerous from corners, we'd have scored loads more goals. Like, I mean, how bad are we from set pieces? But we don't moan about it because we're so good in open play and scoring goals other ways. And we've had this run of form where, I mean, I don't want to put a number on it, but Somerville has not really been that good for quite a few games now. Like, in terms of effective, it's actually been more Nonso and the work Bamford gets through, I think, that are, getting us over the line. And Dan James, his impact is still really, really effective from the bench. So it's just performances everywhere and a lot of players playing very, very well. And it's just comforting, isn't it? Because on paper, we shouldn't remotely be worried about teams like Millwall because they're shit. And, and like Gilly said, it's because we're Leeds fans and these are just the sort of things you worry about because you're like, it can't be this good for this long without it going wrong. And I actually think so far, this team are sort of bucking that Leedsy trend a little bit so far. So, that's how it feels.
Yeah, no, it does. And I'm going to just get Matt in because I know he's here. I don't know what time it is, but he's here from somewhere in bloody Australia. So I'm going to get Matt in. And if anybody does want to join in and have the word, if anybody does want to jump on and have a say, in the description for today's video on YouTube, there's a link there, StreamYard link. If you copy and paste that into your browser, it'll pop you into our waiting lobby, and we can get you in for 5 or 10 minutes for a quick chat if we've got time. I'm sure we will. Matt, whereabouts are you in Australia again? I always forget.
Sydney.
So you're in Sydney, and what sort of time are we talking there? Is it like 5 in the morning or something stupid?
6:30
in the morning.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I mean, have you just got up, or you just going to bed, or?
I got up at like 5, so I'm awake.
Specifically to come on here, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, just to sort of elaborate on what Big Lou's just said there, Matt. It's something JT just said to me when I was on with Joe. It feels very much like not being used to watching Leeds and the least watching Leeds in his lifetime, he said. And I mean, I think probably because he's relatively young, first of all, but also even through the Bielsa days, there was a lot of chaos, wasn't there? At the moment, we just look so composed, and the facts and stats speak for themselves. We haven't conceded in open play this year.
Yeah, I mean, we've looked good. I'm only 22, so mostly supporting Leeds has been like, oh, we'll do a Leeds thing and we'll muck it up at some point. And I keep thinking that still, and I'm like, no, we're good. Like, every time they come forward, I'm like, oh, someone's going to make a mistake. But we're so solid at the back that, you can just trust the defenders. Even if one makes a mistake, which I can't remember who it was, but I think Rodon went for, he didn't do like a Rodon type thing. He just went flying in and he got beaten, but then Ampadu just easily got him away from the goal. Yeah. So you just trust him.
Yeah, I mean, I just to pay your comment, you don't look a day over 21, Matt. So you're looking really well for 22.
I'm going to say 28. Never mind.
But yeah, I just feel it feels weird going into every game knowing that. I mean, we controlled games under Bielsa, didn't we? But in a different style. It was, we're going to score more than you. It doesn't matter. Very much like Ipswich are doing this season, it feels like. They're going to score loads, but they're conceding loads, and they're playing good football. And I'm not comparing. I mean, there are similarities, but I'm not comparing McKenna's Ipswich to Bielsa's Leeds by any stretch. But yeah, it just, for me, I just feel there's, we're so used to having, I mean, Cooper, we love him, absolute fantastic servant to the club, but he always had a mistake in him. We had, him and Kiko Casilla going into each other. We've had mistakes in the middle of the park when we've had, we just haven't had. And do we think then, Gilly, do you think that's testament to the coaching, or do we think we've just got such a good, well-rounded squad that everybody just seems to fit their purpose? Or is it a combination?
Yeah, I think they're well drilled out there. Farker knows what he's doing, and in Farker we trust. I think that's the point for me. I will just touch on, you mentioned Cooper and Kiko there. If Rodon wasn't as quick as he is, we'd have had Amelie do it. He shit himself. The ball was there for him to just come and calmly collect, and he backed off.
I'm going to disagree.
The ball was there for him to get.
Disagree.
Ball were there for him to get.
I'll show you an angle for this.
And he's got to come and clear that. Even if he can't catch it, which he would have been able to do with loads of time, he's facing ball. He's facing the game. he's got to come and he's got to clear that. Absolutely shit himself and got it all wrong.
Have you watched it back? Right, watch it back because the first bounce is taken on the edge of the D of his penalty area. So it's
but he were on the edge of his box when it were kicked.
He wasn't.
So he'd have been able to meet that and clear it with his feet.
No, he wasn't. You need to watch it back, honestly. Trust me. Hey, we already all know that Gilly doesn't know ball, don't we? So
without watching it back, I think there's going to obviously be a natural reluctance for us to blame Rodon for anything on the basis of how good he's been. But I agree in general that Meslier can occasionally look like that. He's not good enough to be our goalkeeper if we go back to the Premier League. I don't think that's even a debate really. But
I disagree.
But he's made a lot of important saves. He's just as it's not. He's made a lot of important saves in the games where we've not conceded. Like they get sort of forgotten about because we don't concede a lot of shots. But he's made so many good saves. He has been good this season. But yeah, I mean I've not seen it back, but I thought the same as Gilly. To be honest, I thought he was at fault for that. I think he should have. Yeah, there was a communication breakdown, but Rodon's so decisive in those panicky moments, isn't he? Whereas if someone else has lost their head, he's almost like you can almost see it in his football, where he's like, "Well, if you're going to be useless, I'll sort it out."
Just fucking get out of the way and I'll sort it out.
I don't think by any stretch that either of them weren't at fault. I just think to pin the blame on Meslier is unfair when you watch it back. They're both pretty much at fault. Rodon could do something with it earlier. And Meslier could probably make a decision earlier. It's ironic, actually, because Meslier tends to come for things when he probably shouldn't and then leave something like that when he probably could have. But do you know what? It gave me flashes of Kiko and Cooper. And if he goes and puts his foot through that, there's every chance he clears out Rodon and something else, something worse happens. So they dealt with it in the end quite well. So I think we've probably been a little bit harsh.
I think this goalkeeping coach has definitely made him a little more decisive in terms of collecting the ball and whether to punch, whether to catch. Like he looks a lot better in that department, I think. But again, we don't concede a lot of those times, so his margin for error is almost, even smaller in that he has to get it right every time, near enough,
Yeah,
and I think it's right to say that the save that he did make was pretty miraculous.
Even though it was offside.
The one that was offside. He wouldn't have known that when he were making a save, and it was a cracking save. So
there was the one that Rodon cleared off the line as well. They nearly scored from.
Yeah. Yeah. I was out my seat going mad at how good that Meslier save was. My dad sat next to me, just told me to sit down and calm down because it was always offside. But I haven't seen that. I'd only seen the shot and the save, and I don't know. I might have been just having a bit of a moment, but yeah, it was a good save.
It was unbelievable. It was right in front of me as well. I was like, "What the fuck just happened? How has he done that?" And I didn't even see the flag or even notice the flag. I was still waiting for the corner to be taken. I was like, what's going on? Why have we got a goal kick? Oh, it's a free kick. It was offside. Matt, what are your thoughts on Lu's claim there that you don't think Mellier's good enough to be our keeper if we go up?
I think he is. I think he will be our keeper next year. I think we still need to sign maybe another keeper that's, if Mellier's not having the best time, we can bring him in. But I think Meslier will still be our number one. I mean, he's still young. He still has a lot of time to improve. Keepers don't reach their prime until 30 normally, around that age. Yeah, he's young. But I think we still need a backup in. That's quality.
Yeah, we've been unfortunate, haven't we? With bringing Darlow in. I think we all expected him to push Meslier a lot more than he has, and when we've seen, in play, he's not looked that player at all, and actually Clarkson's looked probably closer to pushing him, if anything, when he's had a chance.
Yeah, but what did he play against Peterborough? Didn't he? It's not. I mean, did he play any other games? I don't think he has played. Has he in the league?
I think he did, but he had no shots at him. He played 3 games or something and had no shots.
Yeah.
Yeah, he came on for the last 20 minutes of one, didn't he? When Meslier got cleaned out, and didn't face any shots. Looked all right.
Yeah.
I think you're right about Darlow. I think he's one of those. Actually, when we've seen him, he's not really covered himself in any glory. And I think I think we're quite lucky that his opportunities have been limited because he's not looked like we expected him to look. I don't think that Meslier should be our starting keeper in the Premier League, but I think he will be.
Do you think then? Let me ask this a different way. Do you think if we've got areas to strengthen, that would be one of your key areas?
No, not really. I don't think it's a priority in that respect because I don't think it's quite what we need, but there are other areas to strengthen in front of that. You know, Byram's best days are probably behind him. You know, Firpo defensively worries me about going up against Premier League wingers. You know, there are areas. You know, we still need somebody that's a 9 because Pirro for me is not the long-term successor to Bamford. You know, there's areas that we need to strengthen. Sorry,
Matteo Joseph is.
Yeah, potentially, but it is all potential as well, isn't it?
He'll get his shot for sure.
So, but I also think that we could get a lot of money for Meslier and replace him with somebody that's probably better now because he's got a high ceiling. And as Matt says, you know, he's what, 23, 24? He's got a high ceiling and he won't peak for some time yet. So I think a lot of clubs would look at that and think, yeah, we can spend quite a bit of money on this guy. And if we bring in a 29, 30-year-old keeper for 2 or 3 years can be at top of his game, we'll probably get that player for less.
He could have.
Yeah, I mean, he's 24 years old and he's played France under 21s. He's played in the Premier League. He's played 152 times already for us.
Yeah,
you know, he is getting better. You know, we saw since we got rid of Abad and we brought in the new goalkeeping coach who Farker brought along with him. I forgot the guy's name. What's his bloody name?
It's the fella from Norwich.
Norwich, yeah. I forget. Anyway, but I'm sure somebody will tell us in the comments. But yeah, and he has improved. Like, you know, he's making saves that
Ed Wootton.
That's him. No, is it?
Yeah.
Is that not him?
Yeah,
it might be. But you know, we've got to. I think we've got to be realistic. I mean, if you go into the Premier League, what are you going to get for Meslier? 15 million, maybe. You're not going to get another goalkeeper at his level and potential for 15 million quid.
No,
Hmm.
I think we'd be pushing it at 15 million, to be honest with you.
And it could have been very different. Like I say, if it had left and Darlow was our number one, you never know how it was. He wasn't necessarily nailed on to stay. I mean, a lot of people thought he was going to go.
Yeah,
you know, but me and Gilly were talking about this, about players that will stay and players that will go, and we mentioned Firpo and how if we go up, he can be one of those players who we know, and Farker probably knows, and maybe even Firpo knows that he's not good enough for the Premier League, but he can leave with his head held high and the fans respecting him, having got us promoted. Meslier is another one, and obviously that brought us on to players that are out on loan who, you know, might come back. There's talk of Verba and whatever, but yeah, there's definitely areas we need to strengthen, and like left back has to be like the first one, doesn't it? Like it just.
It's been 30 years since we've had a decent one, so you know.
Yeah, it's crazy.
There's not many about,
though. We'll just be talking about it forever. I don't know.
You look at the teams in the Premier League now, and a lot of the Premier League could probably improve on their left backs. You know, they're a dying art, shall we say? You know, I mean, you even look at the top teams. The top teams, you've got Ake's filling that left back for City. You've got Robertson at Liverpool. Don't even know who Scum's left back is. Is it still Luke Shaw who starts there, or they got somebody? Dalot, does he start there? Maybe.
Don't know.
But yeah, I mean, sorry,
Shaw's injured. I think Shaw's injured at the minute. I'm not sure he's playing there.
So there isn't a lot of good left backs in the world. Is probably what I'm getting at. You know, you could probably name 2 or 3 off the top of your head who are honestly, realistically world class. And you know, we have got to be realistic. But Junior Firpo will struggle at that level. Should we get there? Matt, I just want to ask you a quick question before we let you get whatever it is you're going to do today, ready for work or
have some breakfast.
have some breakfast.
Go back to bed.
put another shrimp on the barbie and all that. But yeah, are you? How much pressure has now been piled onto that chasing pack? Now we've gone top of the league for the first time this season.
I mean, a lot. I mean, on Leicester, probably a lot, because they were talking about how they were like 17 points clear, mind the gap. Oh, yeah, we're clear. And then when they played us, just another game, then we beat them, and then they keep losing and losing, and then dropping points. I mean, I feel like Ipswich are probably the second best team that's behind us recently. And I think they could finish second, to be honest.
Just on those points you've made, Matt, I have got a couple of graphics here that I just wanted to share. So during the game, sorry, actually, I'll show you the one at Christmas. Everyone will have seen this. This is New Year's Day to what the table is now as it stands. And you can see there, 17 points behind. I think we had a goal difference of 20 at the time, and we're now 42, I think. Yeah, 42. So we made 22 goals up plus 17 points difference in that time. But this is even more mental. This is the one Lou, you shared with me earlier. This was during the game when we were 1-0 down versus Leicester. This is during the game. So we were still 12 points behind them and 10 goals.
We certainly weren't thinking about a title at 1-0 down, were we?
Absolutely not. It just goes to show, doesn't it? The world, the game, football, that's why we love it, though, isn't it? That's absolutely why we love it. One last question then,
and just on that graphic there, if you consider that, obviously they didn't get that win against us. But from that point, they've only added 1 point. Yeah. I know they didn't get those points against us in the end, but they've only added 1 point overall through those games. It's insane.
I think that's a mentality thing as well, though. Like, Farke doesn't talk about the table and who's like that. That rubs off on the players. They don't talk about it. They clearly don't talk about it. They're like, I only care what we do, but he genuinely means it. Most of the time we're thinking, yeah, whatever. You've not looked at the table. You've not looked at Ipswich results, Leicester results. Maybe he just isn't, and we're the only ones doing it. But we're fans, so we should.
He openly said the last 6 games. I'm not looking at the table until the last 6 games, or something along those lines. I don't look at the table. What's the point looking at the table now? Like, and there was a time there. There was a time there where people were doubting him because we weren't in that conversation to be pushing with the squad that we've got to be pushing for league titles, where actually now those people are probably in a little bit of humble pie and probably deleting anything that they've ever said on Twitter or YouTube or whatever. Anyway, Matt, my last question to you is, how many points do we win the league by?
I'm gonna say 7.
What?
We'll be 4 points clear on the final day, and Leicester will lose their last game.
I would snap your hand off for that, mate. I would.
Who have Leicester got? Do we know?
Yeah, we've all got fairly similar run-ins. I think if you look at it, there's not, we've all got. I mean, there's no easy games at this stage of the season. If you're playing somebody in the relegation fight, there's a good chance that they're going to be more up for it.
Blackburn.
The only real gimmies, which there aren't because it's so tight that relegation zone to the middle pack, is any of those could still get relegated in these last 8 games. So, I'm quite happy with that, Matt. And on that note, we'll let you go back to die.
Cheers.
Cheers, mate. Thanks for coming on. And now I wasn't being rude there, but there is another person who wanted to get on, so I just wanted to make sure everyone had a fair crack. Mark, thank you for joining us.
How you doing?
Evening, mate. How you doing?
All right, mate. Considering old age and poverty, I'm all right, mate. But being a Leeds fan cheered me right up.
Good. Hey, it's not often you can say that either, is it?
No, to be honest with you, it's like, I'm 62 now, and I'm like,
you don't look a day over 61.
Thank you very much indeed. I'm just about 4 weeks over 61.
I'm kidding.
No, it's just, I don't know. I mean, I go back to all the classic teams, the everydays, and just to see the one thing that really, really inspires me is the real bond and connection between the players, the fans, and the setup behind it. There's absolutely no interference, no undercurrents, no innuendo. It's just clarity and everything. That's why I think we've all bought into it as fans, because when Farke speaks, we know it's the truth. And if the players are getting the same at their pep talks and team talks, and they know exactly they're just dealing with an honest guy, it's just marvelous. It's just lovely. But long may it continue, mate. And I must admit, I do like the rest of us. I think we're nailed on for promotion. I do believe we will win the title. And I used to I used to play for Leicester many years ago when I was down in the Midlands, 1978. Good Lord. I was down there with Lineker and all the rest of it as well. But, you know, I know a lot of Leicester fans. I still keep in contact with a lot of them, and they are absolutely beside themselves. Yeah. They're convinced they won't go up also.
Yeah, I can't stay off their forums at the moment. They're quite interesting to read.
I mean, Lockie's lost the plot. But, yeah, no, I speak to an awful lot of guys that actually are quite intelligent football people, and they really don't believe they're going to go up automatically this year. They think we are the better team. They genuinely believe, as a squad of players, as a team, and how we play, we are better. But yeah, no, it's looking great.
It's hard to argue against that, though, Mark. When we've beaten them twice,
I'm not going to argue with them because it's the truth.
Of course, we are.
Years, Leicester used to be a right bogey team for us, and I do recall as a young kid going to watch them play at Filbert Street, and Leeds playing the yellow kit, and we were 3-0 down. I don't really remember it. Birchall scored this screamer from the halfway line, and Bremner scored a cheeky free kick that took it before the whistle was blown, and it kept our unbeaten record to, I think it was like 30 unbeaten or something like that, and Bremner got that free kick. So that's a long time ago. Duncan McKenzie was playing for us. So that's how long.
Well, Mark Gaston makes a good point here. You can buy players, but you can't buy this team spirit, this belief, this cohesion. And it simply can't. And that has to come from the coaching team, but not only from the coaching team. He has to install that into his players, and he has to have a group of players that believe in him. And as you rightly said, he comes across as an honest guy. And look, if you can't be honest with your players, who can you be honest with? Do you know what I mean? And if you can't trust the manager and trust the process, and I hate that saying because it just reminds me of that bloody American we just had. Trust the process.
Celebrate moments.
Celebrate moments, man. But yeah, I
play down the middle.
Yeah. But I hear people saying that they don't want to make comparisons to previous manager. I don't mind it, for one. I don't want to hit it all the time, but I don't mind making comparisons because naturally there are always going to be comparisons. Now, I think we've got a much better squad now than we had under Bielsa, Mark, when we got promoted. But I don't think there's much difference in terms of what they installed and instilled into that squad in terms of the belief and what they can do and why they do it. And I think Bielsa was probably a little bit more methodical about the way he went about things, and certainly listened to Paddy Bamford's interview in his My Best Mate's a Footballer when he goes on with Joe. Is it
Wilkinson?
Joe Leitcher? Not Leitcher.
Yeah.
Joe,
Wilkinson.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, Wilkinson, that's him. He says that Bielsa was that methodical. He used to make them watch videos, and he'd take them all individually before every game and say, "This is how
tell them how they would score and how the other
and it would come true. It was almost like a crystal ball. But in terms of the belief and how they're playing, and the camaraderie around the place, and seeing them all, we saw Farker kiss Dan James's head the other day when he came off the pitch. That sort of thing. Is it fair to make comparisons, do you think, now? I mean, obviously, we haven't been promoted yet, and we might be getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. But based on... We're going to get promoted. I completely believe that. I do. I mean, I think we're too good not to get promoted now because just of the turnaround. And you've got to look at where we were, Gilly, and it's you're right to mention it. But when that season when Basham arrived and we'd already pretty much should have been promoted, and we ended up dropping into the playoffs. That was we were Leicester. We weren't as far ahead as Leicester, but we were Leicester that season. We were the best side in the league. We weren't the best side in the league. We were in front, and we managed to fuck it up from there. The amount of pressure they're under now, the amount of pressure all those teams around us are under. When you look at that graphic that I showed you from New Year's Day, and to see where we are now, the pressure isn't on us at the minute. Everyone expects us to carry on as we're doing.
Yeah, it's as I say, I go back to my original comment. It's just the synergy between everybody associated with Leeds United. I mean, it's little. I mean, we joke and laugh about Luke Ayling going in the pub yesterday and buying every round of drinks, all this sort of stuff. At the end of the day, sticking true to his word. But I just can't recall the last time we had that true. Even with Bielsa, we didn't have that connection because obviously Bielsa wouldn't have condoned people going to pubs and doing all sorts of stuff like that. But at the end of the day, he'd have preferred going to Costa Coffee at Wetherby, and that would have been your lot, and maybe a bag of chips at the weekend. But it's just, I don't know. Farke does his talking on the pitch. What they do outside of that, as long as they realise the rules and play by them, that's fine. And I think he's given them that freedom to breathe and be personalities and be people. I mean, as I say, Archie Gray's 18 going on 25, and he's so mature for his age. And I certainly personally can't wait to see Harry come through, because that guy's bloody awesome and all, isn't he? You know, so
yeah.
But the one thing I want to raise with you guys, I mean, but I consider myself to be fairly knowledgeable on the game, but does every game, regardless of what league you're in, have a fourth official?
I would imagine it probably starts at a
think they
particular
do in the
level.
EFL, don't they?
Yeah.
In the EFL, yeah, I would say. I mean,
outside the football league, I don't think so. But I think in the EFL they do.
Right, so certainly Championship and Premiership do, don't they? So right,
yeah,
okay. On my thinking, I don't think any of us are completely sold by VAR. If it's applied properly and perhaps bringing AI in to control it, getting the human beings out of it, might stand a better chance with it. But I think I was saying to my lad yesterday, if we've got a fourth official and he's wired up to the ref? Surely that thing on Road on yesterday, he could turn around and say, "You balls up there, mate. That's a penalty." I don't know anybody in the footballing fraternity that's not said that's not a penalty. Because he not only just took him out with his knee on an uppercut on his chin, but he also handballed the ball afterwards.
Yeah.
Granted, very lightly. But
so obviously that would have been second yellow as well.
So surely if the fourth official was wired up and he just said, "Look, mate, I'm not asking you to review it. It's a penalty." Because let's face it, referees already demonstrated how incompetent they were.
Yeah, I agree. Like, without the drama of everybody, let everybody see the video, take ages, just go, all right, mate, you ballsed up. There you go. You need to give a penalty there. Otherwise, this place.
That takes milliseconds, doesn't it?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's be the simple solution, but it's never like that.
Passed the iPhone out the crowd and said, "Look at the replay on Sky." Look, and he just, "Oh, right, you're right. I missed that one." But it was something else somebody else raised. I don't know if it was one of these pods that was saying that because it was a head injury, you should have stopped the game anyway.
Yeah, they had a corner.
Let it carry on, didn't he?
They had a corner 2 minutes later. Oh, a minute later.
Yeah, he blew up immediately over nothing because he knew he'd fucked it up.
Yeah,
he absolutely knew it.
I said to Luke on Joe's chat earlier on, I said he was quite right when you said the referee knew he was guilty as buggery. And had one of our Leeds players gone down in the 18-yard box in the penalty area,
he'd have made up for it, I think, wouldn't he?
Even if it was the softest touch on the ankle, he'd have given it.
Yeah, I think there was a few occasions after that, as you rightly say there, Mark, that he'd realised he'd made a mistake, and there was a couple of 50-50, shall we say, that probably went in our favour after that. I think he tried to sort of even it up slightly. I still don't think the officiating's been good in this league whatsoever. I don't think it's great in the Premier League. I think there's a real issue, and we could probably do a full hour on officiating if we wanted to, about just basically slagging referees off for an hour, which I'm quite happy to do if anybody's up for it. But yeah, rightly so. I don't think the officiating is great. I think VAR could be used for the right reasons. I think I seen somewhere the other day that there was a 6-minute decision between Villa and West Ham. It took them 6 minutes to come to a decision. Now that's not clear and obvious for me, and that this is why VAR was brought in to eradicate anything that was on the fence, let's say. But if somebody's taking 6 minutes to work out, it's not on the fence, is it? And it's
not the stuff that's on the fence at all, is it? It was brought in to stop the complete stupidity mistakes that they made. The ones that were absolute howlers, the gaffes.
Yeah.
The ones that we saw yesterday on Road On. But the problem is, if you've got the same people making the decision, the referee was 15 yards from that, and he was perfectly positioned to see exactly what happened.
Yeah,
he's made a conscious decision that that's not a penalty. He's not missed it. He's not seen it.
It's panic, though, isn't it? It's human instinct. It's human instinct to panic, and that's exactly what he did. Like, I always think, is it not easier to give those decisions for teams at home? I'm not saying just because it's Leeds at Ellen Road they should give it, but I just don't understand how they can be the only person that don't see what everyone else sees. It's crazy. Like,
it started early in that Road On thing. There was a blatant Millwall put the ball out. It clearly touched the defender's foot, and the linesman stood 2 yards away from it. Still gave the throw into Millwall.
Yeah. That was the boulder fella, wasn't it, on the far side near their fans?
It was it was the usual rant, the usual rant from the crowd saying you don't know what you're doing and all that malarkey. But it was it's just things like that. You think if we're seeing it, why in God's name aren't you? You know,
that's when you know it's bad. We're literally fans with our team sitting top of the league, and we're still talking about how bad it is.
Exactly. I mean, listen,
I mean, Bryn made a point earlier as well. That ref don't like Rodon. Sent him off for 2 soft yellows at Hull and lets Cooper off kneeing him in the face.
Yeah, absolutely. I read that on Sky Sports today, or something on Twitter, whereby I mean, you know, Rodon got sent off for far less than that. I think it was actually a clumsy tackle. He sort of fell over the play, didn't he? Rather than go in there all.
VAR overturns that decision. Like, I mean,
I think so.
We all hate VAR, obviously. Lack of VAR improves the atmosphere tenfold, to be honest, because when a goal's given, you know, it's, you know, some people that love VAR say, "Oh, it's great, you get to celebrate the goal twice." It's like, well, no, it's not really like that. It's not.
Oh, you celebrate and then it's taken away, and there's so many differentials. It's bollocks. And I mean, Lou, you and I went to a lot of away games last season, and in VAR, you know. Even home games we had VAR, didn't we? I don't know what I'm on about. I'm losing bloody plot. So why did only away games have VAR?
Do you remember
in my head? What's going on?
You don't get excited by it. You assume when you're at the game, you assume the worst when VAR is called in. You assume that whatever goal or anything positive that's just happened for your team is going to be taken away from you. And we could sit here all night again and moan about how the Premier League is. I'm enjoying the Championship for lots of reasons. Lack of VAR is one of them. Atmosphere at games, both home and away, is miles better. So, you know, that the deal is we moan about referees and how shit they are, seeing it on face value, or we don't, or we have VAR. So there are no winners. I'd rather be in the Prem playing the best teams. And then, you know, next season we'll sit here and whinge about VAR again. You know,
I think so. I mean, there was comments made earlier in the year. Can we get promoted and stay in this league, please? Because of the comfort that we have with the enjoyment of the game and no interference. But I think with this cluster of young lads coming through and what we've got, the talent we have in an array, and I mean, you know, I include Matthew Joseph into that. And I hope and pray we find something for Joffrey Gelhardt, because the guy's totally committed to the club. He's got something about him. If we can turn him into one of the Kemar Roof type of pesky little striker or something like that, just picks up all those little, like James did yesterday, pick up all those type of dregs and finish it off, that'd be great. But, you know, we'll see. But I think because of the core talent we've got and what they're talking about so highly in the academy and everything, and what's coming through, I think we need to have that Premier League status to keep those players before they go off to somewhere else, and secondly, to really see them shine. And I think Fark, with the right backing and the right size checkbook behind him in the summer, I think you really will start to see the true value of what that coach is all about. And he was never given that at Norwich. But I also, just to finish off, I always believe with Farker, I think why we're seeing what we're seeing from him, I think if you look at all the clubs he's managed or coached at, he knows this is the best job he's ever had in football. Norwich was a nice job. It was a nice club, you know, because they say in Norwich that it's a nice city, you know, that sort of stuff. It's a nice little place to be, very family orientated. Pardon?
Steady.
Yeah.
Family orientated, you say? Keep it in the family, did they?
Yeah. You know, I mean, all right, moving on.
Steady on, I'm not too far from Norfolk. I'll be getting egged at my windows, will be getting egged in that.
But it's just, and then he's been off back to Germany and everything. But he knows, like all the rest of the German coaches, international coaches, they know the place to pitch your wits is in the Premier League. And I think he's bought into the passion of the club. He's bought into the fan, the furore, and everything goes with it. Even as a coach, he said he came there to Holland Road and went, Jesus Christ, I'd love to have the chance to manage something like this. And now he's got it, and he's told them at interview level, didn't he? He wants to be complete control of the football. And by Christ, they've got an easy life at 49 as investments, haven't they? Because he's just doing it tenfold.
Give him a transfer budget, and let's see what you're made of. You know, he deserves his shot, absolutely.
Yeah. No.
Without that, you know, Finley Gorman type situations are going to keep happening out there.
Absolutely.
You're going to see those highly rated youngsters are just going to get poached. So we do need to do that.
Harry Gray, we'll be talking about him at some point, I'm sure.
Well, he's got an even younger brother, apparently, that's awesome as well, isn't it? Joffrey or Joel or something like that. Apparently he's a handy little player as well for his age. So the production line, that family, honestly, the genes, all good stuff.
Perfect. Mark, before we let you shoot off and go have a cup of...
I'm not going to the Barbie. I'm in Leeds.
Cup of cocoa or whatever it is you do when you're... How old are you? 61? 62?
62, yeah.
cup of cocoa and about 10 wees before bed. Before we let you go do that, can
I'll
we?
go press the button, right? Yeah.
Can we have a bit of a prediction for you then? I assume you think we're going to win the league, but by how many points, or are we going to finish second? What's your prediction now? If you were a betting man, what would you be sticking your house on?
If it was all written as stars, I'd say we'll be promoted with 2 games to go, and I think we'll finish off at 102 points. I think we'll drop 4, but I just, and then we'll go up as automatically as champions. I just don't see anybody. And I think it was somebody who said in the joke thing, the only team that can beat Leeds is Leeds.
Who goes up with us?
But I don't think Farker will allow them to have that mindset. He's just got them so well drilled. We might be nervous and jittery, but Farker just won't allow that psychology to come into the club. He won't allow it. But it goes up with Ipswich.
I hope it is Ipswich.
I think it will be.
And that's because I'm so close to the Leicester lads, and I feel it through them that they basically sort of said, hopefully it's a trip to Wembley. Hopefully, because they think that they think they'll go. But I tell you what, Hull will have a big say in it.
As will Norwich.
Well, Norwich have built up a bit of a head of steam as well, haven't they?
Yeah, they're flying.
We finished playing them, haven't we now? So.
Yeah. Well, that's when those results look the best at the end of the season. When you're like, they're flying now. We've beaten them twice. Happy days.
Yeah, absolutely.
Spot on. Perfect, Mark. Thanks ever so much for.
Great. Thanks for letting me come on. I actually said to Smarty recently, I said, when do I get the chance to come have a chat with you guys? He says, we used to do it, but nobody's interested. So I says, all right, we'll tell the guys certainly on the Sunday that I'll be happy to join in there. But anytime, I'd love to join in. I'd love to. Always have a lot to say.
Nice. Cheers, Mark.
Cheers now. Ta-da.
See you, Mark.
Bye.
See ya.
I'm back. Am I back?
Yeah.
Yes.
Has Mark gone, has he?
Yes.
I don't know what's going on. I think my dog's been barking that loud. He's broken internet. He's got one of them. He's got one of them crazy barks. That's. But yeah, thanks, Mark. That was a really good appearance from him. Actually, I really enjoyed that. I didn't know he played for Leicester either. To be honest with you,
He did say he played for Leicester, didn't he? Do you know what? I want 100% sure I'd heard that right.
I thought
he said that.
Instead, we were all going, really?
like one of them. I could have made it if it weren't for my dick in knees type conversation.
Yeah.
Like,
it's the J from the the West Ham.
If I hadn't found women and drugs and beer, then I would have been playing for Brazil type things. I just wanted to, while we've not got any more guests, I just wanted to rack your two's brains around Millwall. Really, I mean, they make out this volatile, rough, horrible club. That travel away and they make loads of noise and that. I wasn't impressed by Millwall at all as an away following. I've seen him at Ellen Road before, and it was a little bit intimidating when I've been seeing him there before. But they almost looked washed and just not disinterested. They didn't do much at all for me. I don't know what any of you two had any more thoughts on it.
No, I quite like looking at the clips of them. There was. Did you see the guy that was outraged that we had sniffer dogs? Now that guy can't have been to many games. If that guy can't have been to many away games, if that's the first time he's seen sniffer dogs. Can you believe it? They have sniffer dogs at Ellen Road. Yes, I can actually. They're there every single game actually. But yeah, not impressive. What did they bring? 900 fans yesterday.
Something stupid. And
I didn't know it were as many as that. I was about to say what I'm really enjoying at the moment is with more people watching this than they had watching that yesterday.
Yeah,
literally. Yes, it's but just onto Millwall as a football club. I mean, they didn't look too bad. I mean, but they just looked passive. It's almost like they turned up and expected to be under the caution, not really do much. The only player I felt looked any good was Obafemi. I think he looked quite lively. He was he did a fair bit of running. Didn't think they had much else going for him. Matt, did you, Gilly? Matt, I called you Matt.
I said the same. I thought Obafemi he looked a bit handy. He looked a bit tricky, a bit of a difficult customer to deal with, without really hurting us, without really getting at us. I mean, they are literally just a shithouse team. That is what they came to try and do. You know, Honeyman was constantly being too close for the corners and not letting us take free kicks and getting in people's faces and stuff. He was there just as a let's wind people up as much as possible. And I thought they did a really professional job in not getting wound up. I wanted to see a certain Tashmeister make an appearance because, I love seeing shithousing other shithouses. But there's a potential he got himself sent off in that one because they were trying to wind people up. But it's nice to just be quite professional about it and just beat them, and properly deserve to beat them as well. There's bullshit that Millwall fans have been going on about. Well, the goal were offside and Nonto shouldn't have been on the pitch. He should have been sent off. So he shouldn't have scored either. And it's absolutely, it's just rubbish. But it's because they know the shit.
Yeah, that's a strange take.
It's because they know the shit. They're 4 points clear of relegation. They are right in the mire and they know that they're shit. And the fact that they can't, there was no way that they could have come and tried to play any sort of football against us because we'd have absolutely destroyed them. Look what we did when they were trying to just be compact and destroy the game, slow the game down. If they'd have tried to play football and tried to play openly against us and whatever else, we'd have absolutely torn them apart.
The only thing that I'd be interested in now for Millwall-wise is if they've got to play any of the teams that are affecting our promotion push. Because by all means, do that times 10 what you did yesterday. Shithouse club, shithouse team, horrible football, but exactly what I expected yesterday. They could have put 10 men behind the ball, and I'm surprised they didn't do something like that because, if anything, they're probably set up to do that a lot better than even some of the teams that have tried that against us this season. So
they are still to play Leicester, by the way, 9th of April at the New Den.
Right, and I think they draw 2-2 with them early in the season. I think they were 2-0 up in that game as well.
You're asking me now.
That was before Neil Harris. That must have been under their last manager.
God knows, man. I don't know how you remember. I don't know.
Because I take the results personally when they don't go for Leeds, so I'll look at that. I'll fully expect Millwall to beat Leicester just because I want.
Puts the newspaper cuttings up on the dartboard and starts chucking darts at them. Neil Harris's face. What rat face? Yeah. So Arthur Bushby just says here, Neil Harris has said Leeds United are Premier League side. He said some nice things about us, which is horrible to hear.
Yeah, he didn't.
Leicester beat them 3-2.
Ah, right. So
it's 13th of December. Leicester beat them 3-2. But
were they 2-0 up?
Millwall were in front. No, they were 1-0 up. But they did get the nose in front.
Yeah. Ratface didn't embarrass himself yesterday. He said bet team won and all of that stuff. I was saying to Gilly before the game, actually, I've got some friends who are Cambridge United fans, and they are very annoyed at Ratface for leaving. He's left them in the shit. He, didn't even say goodbye, apparently. So
I thought they sacked him and then brought Gary Monk in.
No, they didn't sack him. He left because the Millwall job came up. It was that they're the circumstances he left. He just left because the Millwall job came up. They didn't do an announcement. And Gary Monk hasn't had a job in 4 years. He's now manager of Cambridge United. And I think Cambridge United have lost 6-0 and 4-0 or 5-0 in their first 2 games against Reading and Lincoln, I think. Scoob's Lincoln. Yeah. Interesting connection. And now a different part of the country hates the snake.
Just before we carry on, I just wanted to get, and I know we'd usually do this last, but I wanted to put a poll out. Who was your man of the match yesterday, Gilly?
It's a tough one. I didn't really think.
Though. Don't name every player on field, so we've got nobody to pick from.
No. I didn't really think that anybody in an attacking sense stood out for an extended period. It were mostly in flashes. And while I love the fact that Rodon's a battler, it were Ampadu for me because I still felt that he were driving us forward. And so, Ampadu for me.
Yeah. Anyone central yesterday, Gruev, Kamara, Ampadu or Rodon were all brilliant for me.
Okay, so I'm going to go for one of the others. So we'll put in the poll Rodon, Ampadu, and Kamara, and then I'll put other as well in case anybody else wants to say. We'll just see what everyone else thinks, I suppose. Because I think it actually went to Georgie because he got 2 assists, didn't he? And I don't think it was as effective as we've seen him. And now obviously it's come out that he's been carrying this hernia injury. So that poll's live. If anybody wants to vote, we'll stop that just before we finish in 5 or 10 minutes time or whatever, and we'll see who you guys actually thought it was. But do comment if we haven't put it on there, because otherwise we won't have a clue. But yeah, just on the Rutter thing then. I know this went on for a while on Joe, so I don't want to spend too long on it. But he's been carrying this hernia. Do we think it's minor surgery, or do we think we're just maybe not sending him away with France?
I think if they're saying 10 days, it's 10 days.
Now we heard
how long was Stoich out for at first?
He was out for a lot longer than that, wasn't he? In fact, he came back early, didn't he?
True, but they might be different in terms of seriousness. I don't know. I think we'll cope without him anyway. We haven't spoken about injuries just because it's been going so well, and you don't want to curse it. Now it's happened. We have done up till now. We've done really well this season without any of that, which is amazing considering the fixture schedule and the amount of games we've played in short periods of time as you do in the champ. So, I mean, it's obviously not ideal timing, but if it's not serious, then I think we can manage without him in the meantime. You only have to look at the impact Anthony and James made. I know it's different positions, but, we have attacking players who can fill the void against, what we've got a couple of hard games, I guess. Cov and Hull away are going to be tough. But, if you exclude Southampton on the final day, obviously we're hoping that's a dead rubber or whatever. Our 2 hardest games are Cov and Hull away. I think if we get out of that with 4 points, then
it's Hull at home, isn't it? We've played Hull away.
Good point. Cov away, Hull at home, but Hull at home will still be hard. I mean,
they're going well. They are going well. But we've not been without injuries. If we mentioned Stoich already, he's been out for a long time.
Yeah, I think it's been overlooked.
Had Ampadu not been somebody that could just step in and do that, Nonto came in for James. James were on fire before he got injured. Nonto's come in, he scored 7 and 11. Byron were doing really well at fullback. I think a lot of people were surprised at the level of output he were giving us, because it was like, Byron's back. And then he started, and you're like, wow, he's doing really well. So, we've not been without injury.
I think that's exactly it. That when the injuries have happened, they've been overlooked because of the players that have come in and done well. So we haven't worried about Strout being out because Ampadu and Rodon have been so good.
And look at Gruev. Nobody could have seen what Gruev's done coming into the team before he did it.
No, because everybody wanted him out the club after his performance at Stoke.
Which wasn't in his position. He was kind of playing a 10. He would just go on and run around a bit and be somebody to just get in the way.
And that was the only game this season where nobody played well.
Yeah. I think it's testament as well to the belief that Farke's in his squad. While we've all almost judged players immediately on seeing them for 5 or 10 minutes and cameos and there was a stage early this season where we honestly felt if any of our first 11 got injured, our starting 11, we would have been fucked this season, because we didn't think Firpo could play left back. We didn't think Archie Gray was a right back. We didn't know much about Kamara and Gruev, and what we had seen, they didn't look like they could just jump in and fill in. We thought if Stroik got injured, we'd be knackered for centre backs, and the same for pretty much every position. And then obviously we've had the second coming of Junior Firpo. We've had Paddy having an absolutely outstanding season. Yeah, he's not getting numbers at the minute. He had that little bit of purple patch, didn't he, when he scored a few? He still scored something like 7 in 10 or something stupid, but he's not got a goal for a couple. But his movement, and somebody mentioned it earlier, when his movement for Nonto's goal. Have you seen that back?
Yeah.
So he made the space for Nonto when he'd cut in, didn't he?
He made the space, and then he ran across in front of the goalkeeper just as Nonto cut. And
he doesn't stop. He doesn't stop running the entire game. It's brilliant. But this is it's ebbs and flows of the season, but they're all working out. Whenever anybody comes in, they've taken their chance. That's another reason we've said it about Bamford's goal at Peterborough. Phil Hay is always banging on about how he scores in, clusters, and he tends to do well once he's sort of got over that dip and scored a goal. He's done exactly that. After he scored that goal, he was confident. He kicked on. Willie Nonto did the same, scored a goal. Now he scored 8 goals all season. And we've had that across the park where players have got involved and contributed. And it's, in a season, obviously, where we got relegated in the Prem, one player out of our entire squad, the player being Rodrigo, had good seasons. Nobody played well all season, which is why we got relegated. Every single player has contributed this season in our squad, minus maybe Charlie Cresswell or someone or that hasn't really, got any game time. And that's exactly what you want. You want everybody to contribute, and Nonto wasn't getting in because of Dan James. Dan James got injured. Nonto came in.
Absolutely.
How many appearances has he come on as a sub and not done anything? Like, he's been, yesterday he could have walked off with a brace. He hit the post. I thought that was going in. So
hell of a shot that he did so well with that.
Ridiculous. What are we thinking now in terms of the shuffle? Then say Ruter doesn't start at Watford. What are we thinking will be the?
I'm
afraid to say, but I think Barrow comes in.
Barrow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not afraid to say. The guy scored plenty of goals.
No, yeah, and I mean, he does need game time, doesn't he?
He
and
does.
It's Watford.
I would do something different. I suppose the question is, what do we think will happen rather than what would we do?
Yeah, true.
Because what I would do is I would put Somerville in the middle and I would start Dan James and Nonto on the wings.
Yeah. But
Nonto,
that being said, there's been a few occasions where you've assumed Farke's going to be stubborn and stick to his guns, and he's actually made the changes we all wanted, which is normally a good sign. Not that he's listening to us or anything like that, but certainly it's comforting when your coach is doing things that are like glaringly obvious. If he doesn't think Peru is confident enough at the moment to start 10, then I don't see why he wouldn't play Somerville centrally and start James if he's fit enough for the full game. I'd love that.
Yeah.
It might even spark Somerville back into life a little bit, because
he went off, didn't he? He went off with a knock.
Yeah,
he went off with a knock as well. So, yeah, I think we've got a whole host of different options and what we could do and what we might do. But I still think Parker at this stage of the season would revert back to Pirro at the 10. I wouldn't even mind seeing Paddy in there and putting Pirro up top. Like, do you know what I mean? Even as an option, but I think we'd lose Paddy's movement then as an annoying number 9.
I'd probably play Joseph up top.
Yeah.
And if he can do it at Chelsea, he can do it at Watford.
This is true.
Yeah. Right. Coming towards the end, we have been on for an hour and 2 minutes, and I appreciate. I haven't had any tea. I don't care about you lot. I'm starving. But as we do at the end of most shows, none of us could have imagined we would be sitting here talking about being top of the league at this stage based on the graphics that we've shown. And it's only now that we're actually here that we can actually discuss it and actually have a realistic conversation about it. But do you both see us winning the league from this position? Let's start with you, Gilly, because you look the most puzzled.
I'm trying not to get ahead. I'm enjoying this a lot, and I think it's great that we've got a couple of weeks that we can look at the league table and we're at the top of it, especially given what you pointed out, the number of points and goals that we've overcome. So I'm trying not to get carried away, but yeah, we're going up as fucking champions.
Lou?
Obviously, I want us to, but I'll take second.
Do you see us going up? I mean, based on current form, you can't really argue. I mean, based on conceding 0 goals from open play, based on scoring 23 goals, only conceding 3 since is it 23, 24?
28.
Scored 28 since January. Sorry,
yeah,
28 since January and conceded 3, all from set pieces.
Yeah, I think heart and head are pretty aligned, to be fair. And Aussie Matt shout earlier of winning the league by 7 points is not even that outrageous. When you look at the obviously different seasons, but we won the league in 2020 in the Championship by 10 points in the end. So when you get towards those games at the end of the season where teams stop having things to play for, that's not really an outrageous shout. I'm not saying we'll win it by 10 points, but the way Leicester are and the form guide and the goals we've conceded, which are all pretty they're the biggest stats. You know, the points we're taking, the fact that we still haven't lost at home this season, 21 games unbeaten at home. You know, if you were to add all like 3 points for each of our last of our home games and where that takes us to, you wouldn't put it past us to win the title. I'd say it's very possible.
No, I think we win the title. I think there's too much pressure on those around us now. You know, we've alleviated any potential pressures. We've exceeded what probably anybody expected to do, based on the turn of the year. So I think it's absolutely pivotal that we went top yesterday and actually scored those 2 goals and won by those 2 goals and piled the pressure then on Leicester. The game and points on the board are better than the games. Yeah, absolutely knew that.
That's why he kissed Dan James's sweet head, because he knew it was a massive goal.
I think have you seen the replay of him punching the ground after the second goal? Have you seen him punching the air?
Yeah. He knew it was massive, and has he celebrated like that at all really this season?
No, not really. Not that I remember.
He's quite contained.
Not even the Leicester game. Yeah, there's something there. You know, it's something in his head that only he knows. That's a. If we do this,
he said it all along. He has said it all along. In fairness to him, he has said it all along. He said, "Don't worry about the tail. It will take shape, and I will only start looking 6 games before then." Like he obviously knew. He's obviously looked at the table. Otherwise, he wouldn't have known that we went top with that second goal yesterday. So he's clearly lying to somebody here. But yeah, I think what he meant was probably indirectly doesn't look at it. It doesn't mean anything until that stage of the season. But right, I just want to fly through. We've had loads and loads of messages. I know Gilly's been starring them frantically, so I just wanted to have a couple of these bits. H has said, "I'm down for the Connor Roberts tash for the final game, lads. Are you joining us, Lou, with that?"
Well, yeah, why not, mate? If
promotion
party's happening, I say we all do Connor Roberts tash.
Shave everything off, just the Connor Roberts tash. I mean,
we've got to get Smarty on board. He's the only one.
He's the only one. Do you know what his excuse was? This was an excuse that his little girl wouldn't like it.
Not good enough.
I'm not having that.
He doesn't even have a beard. All he's got is some.
He's not got anything there anyway.
He'll grow back in a couple of days.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, next one. Did anybody get a free drink from Luke Ayling?
No. Apparently, he put about $5 behind the bar and said, "Anybody that buys a pint, give him a can."
Yeah, apparently. I did meet him. I was a little fanboy, so I ran up and Luke.
He got absolutely mobbed in there. He wasn't in there very long, really.
Yeah. So yeah, I ran up and got my picture selfie took with him. Dan at Not Another Leeds. Good evening, mate. Just here to hand out the medals for Gilly and Luke in the trenches this week. Thank you for your service. He says this every week because me and Gilly just love arguing with fans on Twitter. So yeah, we've been deep again. Andy, Aylaw, that roided up ref was a joke. How did that Cooper stay on the pitch and should have had about 7 yellows and 2 reds? Is that the ref should have had 7 yellows and 2 reds, or the other team?
Did you see that weird sprint he did? He did that weird sort of 30-second sprint.
I tell you what, he's in good nick.
Stadium was laughing.
He's in good nick, isn't he? He's a ripped. He's got a good.
He's built like a sprinter, isn't he? He should be able to run fast.
Yeah, like Dwayne Chambers.
Shame he's rubbish at his job.
Yeah.
Emmy, well worth the 8-hour round trip just to hear a grown man being asked by the South Stand if he's ever seen his dick. Yeah,
I don't know what that's about. I went in cop and I didn't hear that. So I starved that because I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, let me explain to you. So there was basically a larger man in their away contingency, and he was basically giving it to all the South Stand, and then they started singing that to him. And then his son started, and they would start singing the same about his son, and it was quite good fun actually. It was quite good banter. They didn't really have much, and that's why I mentioned it earlier about the Millwall fans. They didn't really.
Yeah, the guy in the yellow jacket got a bit of stick.
Yeah, I've seen that. About that.
He didn't even look at him once. He just stared into space while he got abused.
Yeah.
He probably didn't even realise he had a yellow jacket on, to be fair.
Probably not.
Arthur Bushby, Dan James, what's manager done with him? Every time he comes on, making things happen. We've just touched on that, haven't we? Like with the rotation and how we can pretty much trust at least 2 players in every position, I would argue now. You know, we've got, apart from probably arguably the goalkeeper, which at the start of the show we said we probably wouldn't have replaced, but a bit ironic. Yeah, I think Dan James has been a revelation. You know, he's got his head down. I think it's helped him having a couple of the Welsh boys here with him as well. And yeah, I mean, and
they're clearly having a whales of a time.
Oh,
Hey.
hey, he can come back and Lou. Stevie Visual. I never once thought Millwall would even score. It's just new to us. We're used to having problems in the past. This just is different to what we are normally used to. And I mean, that's what this is sort of the question I asked Martin. It's not very lazy. We're almost the Championship Spurs, aren't we? Very Spursy, like to fuck things up. And we're the Championship version at the moment, or we certainly have been over the past 20 years, and just seem to fuck everything up, don't we? Like, but he's quite right. We don't ever feel, for me anyway. Certainly this season, and well, certainly the second half of the season, we haven't really felt under the cosh. I would argue the last few games, I haven't really seen us get out of second, third gear. We've just gone through the motions and expected things to happen. There was moments earlier on in the season, Gilly, where we saw flashes of absolute brilliance to win games and turn things on. We haven't really needed to do that. And am I wrong by saying that? I don't know.
No, I don't think you are. I think I would hesitate to go as far as Johnny Brown did, where he said, well, winning 3-0 every week's boring, which were about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and then we went and drew with Town. But I think it's fair. It's just very professional. We've got this head of steam going. We've got the momentum. Farker knows what he's doing. He's got the guys all, they know what their jobs are, and it's just eminently professional.
Yeah. Cannot argue with that. Next comment was, it's a personal one for you, Gilly. Can I ask you, OKB Gilly, where he got his large photo of Ellen Road from?
It was a gift that was given to me, and it is a Riot Badger special. Alex from Twitter, he's at Riot Badger, and he's got a big bunch of prints available on there. So
I wonder where you're going. That a big bunch of right, prints. Yeah, good. Stevie Visual seems to think we'll need 103 points. Is that to win the league or to be promoted, Stevie? Bryn, how we doing, mate? Fark's the only manager or coach in the top 4 who's won it all before. All about experience. Rest of the 3 don't have that. That's a fair point.
Yeah,
it's a fair point.
And somebody made this a few weeks ago, where Russell Martin of Southampton was getting over emotional about it after a game and stuff like that, and you wouldn't see that from Farker. And the same with that bald fraud, Maresca. And that was him rattled in that interview before it even kicked off against Leeds, saying it's a big game for us. That's just the sort of shit that comes back to bite you. And and it is going to. Me and Gilly were talking about this. It's going to happen. That clip is going to be circulated so much if Leeds win the title. It's a huge game for them.
It is. For us, just another game. Yeah, just another game that you've lost, mate. And this is the biggest job he's had as well. So when we're talking about experience that Farker's got, he really don't have that to follow.
No.
The biggest job he had was Palmer, and he was there hardly any time at all. And he went back to Man City's development squad. He were barely there. So this is the biggest job he's had.
Was he there? Has he come straight there from City then? Was he an understudy to Pep? Was he?
Yeah,
for the youth at City.
Yeah.
I've gone again, Anna.
No, it was me.
Oh, I'm still here. Sorry. All right, no worries. So Aaron goes on to say Leicester bottling, it could be the biggest car crash in history. Yeah, I think it probably would be right up there.
Oh yeah, it's big.
It'd be great, wouldn't it? I know that. It was Mark that was saying that he knows some people at Leicester on it, but it would be so enjoyable if it would Ipswich. If we went up as champions and Ipswich came up second, and Leicester didn't even make it to Wembley, that would just be great.
Yeah, it certainly would. Last few then. Stevie again says he's 56. He's never felt so confident every game. The togetherness between players, the manager and supporters have. It's great to love the players again. It's great to love Leeds United. I mean, I've spent the last however many years going and watching us just get beat pretty much. Like, do you know what I mean? The Premiership years and
literally.
Well, certainly the second half. Well, in fact, certainly the second and third years in the Premier League weren't very much fun, and the Championship years before Bielsa weren't really much fun either, to be fair to you. Tech, do you want to try and read this name out for me, Gilly? Taschen Reichner? 1985.
Yeah, Taschenrechner.
Taschenrechner 1985. I sounded like Daniel Farker then, didn't I? I loved how I didn't see this, so I'm going to have to watch this back. I haven't actually seen this. I loved how our Cooper put off the Millwall player. I mean, it'd be a bit weird if their Cooper did it while they were taking the corner, but taking the corner off by giving him the death stare. The corner just after Rodon got chopped down, and it ended up going for a Leeds throw. I haven't seen that back. I don't know if any of you two have.
No, but I'll be having a look.
Yeah,
I'll be having a look for that. So do tag us in that Taschenrechner 1985, if you can, please. Scooby D2. I don't know what he's on
I think
about.
this is instead of a Tash.
Oh, right, okay. I'd love to go for Rutter hair.
Me
but
too.
Some of us got
I'm beyond that, I
privilege.
think.
You're proper lagging, Gilly. It's funny. Or is it me?
No, it's me.
Yeah,
The warning.
Thank God for that. Simon Corley says, even the tossers on Sky said, what the bloody hell to that ref? Yeah, I can imagine they did. We'll finish it up with Mark's comment, actually, because I think it's very apt. And thank you for coming on, Mark. Farker will have said to lads yesterday, you have achieved nothing yet. And it's really important to remember that we can't get ahead of ourselves. I know we're all buzzing and we're top of the league, but there is still a long way to go. Almost 20% of the season left. We've got 8 games, so we've still got a fair old whack to go at yet. Anything else you wanted to add, lads, before we close up tonight?
I'm lagging anyway, so I don't even know what you can hear.
Just really quickly, I will give you the results of the poll. Rodon has won the poll, but with 34%, but it was very close with 33%, Ampadu 32%, Namara 20%, and other comment, it must be a new signing, 13%. We're back. Are we back tomorrow night, Gilly? Well, we're not, but LKB back
We're
tomorrow
not,
night.
but
I think
there's
the
a
lads
main
will be back.
night.
Yeah, lads will be back tomorrow with a main pod, which will be a little bit about Millwall. Looking forward to the international break and all the usual shit takes of the week. So if you're not already a subscriber, please do. We do like to have a little bit of fun here. I do like the video as well. Thanks everybody who came over and stayed with us from Just Joe. I think that's about it. Thanks, Lou, as well, and to both our guests, Matt and to
Mark.
Yeah, to Matt and Mark. Loads of M's tonight and loads of L's. Matt, Mark, and Matt, Luke and Lou. Like the famous 5. Like the bloody famous 5, that, innit, Gilly?
Lashings and lashings of ginger beer.
Yeah. And on that note, cheers.
All the best.